544 KTSM
915-544-5876.
or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on social media, including the Facebook page, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, as well as a few others there, as we have a Cal joining in. And by the way, particularly if you're watching over on the Facebook, it finally has shown up that there is a top fan badge. Noticed that the other day. Not something we have control of, but hey, if that's important to you, which I believe it was, there you go. So, yeah. Anyway, a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about here today. It is, of course, Friday. We have made it through the week and here, the cusp of the weekend, and that's when we're just going to have it out now, aren't we? Because we take on all of those calls, all those comments, some of those particularly FCC standards. If you're calling in, doing it online is a little bit differently in a couple of different ways. Here's we also have Edgar Ortiz joining us online as well. But we'll take it on. So if you want to call in during the show, the number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. And got a couple going on here already, but just to set the table for a couple of things, this honestly almost escaped my notice, I will freely admit, but there's actually, in talk about all of the upcoming elections, there actually is going to be issues on the ballot box here in Texas November, of which we are almost in early voting here. So I kind of feel a little bit ashamed that I almost missed this myself here, but we have 8 constitutional amendments here coming up in Texas out of the recent legislative sessions that you'll be going out to vote on. Texas Tribune has a pretty good list of them, going kind of in order of general description: rodeo raffles, financing for county infrastructure, as opposed to just what cities and towns can do, restrictions on religious services, or action on restriction on religious services, state judge eligibility, judicial misconduct process, essential caregiver designation affecting visits and who specifically can go to elder care facilities, property tax exemptions for bereaved families, and expanding property tax exemptions for military families here. So that's one of the things going on here that I mentioned, we definitely mentioned, but Kevin Williams bringing up another important one, getting ready to put back that Remain in Mexico policy, the so-called, that's what it came known as, otherwise officially known as the Migrant Protection Protocols, or MPP, that yes, the current administration says that they're working on that for next month. So, in accordance to certain court decisions that have come through, it's almost like the reverse of the whole deferred action for childhood arrivals DACA process was put forth and then back and forth. I mean, it's kind of the mirror image is the way I'm going to choose to put this right now of that whole process, because I mean, of course, that had its own court challenges and uninstatements and reinstatements, yada, yada, yada. But so, yes, that is supposedly coming back pending, to my understanding, negotiations with the Mexican side of things, because that, of course, is a policy that is more or less dependent on the other country agreeing to it. Of course, they had certain things on their own, and again, there's an argument to be made about the effectiveness of it in its actual goals and aims, even if there were plenty of issues in the implementation. But then again, in what sector of this response has there not been issues in the implementation, even when not doing that? Anyway. Point being that Mexico's got to decide to it. And again, the argument to be made about that made it more effective because I think a pretty clear line can be drawn between establishment of that program, the entire reorganization of the Mexican National Guard, the Guardia Nacional, to become essentially a border security force on their own southern border, as they were then looking to deal with people coming up from further south and Central American countries. So some of the things we got going on here today is also have Leroy Chuck chiming in, and John Hurt saying very encouraging of Brandon here. Anywho, and they just fade out here. Edgar, if you want to give us a little bit more explanation of what you mean there, if it's an issue. If not, no worries. So those are some of the things we got going on here today. But again, taking those calls and comments, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Remember to start integrating those aids into your dialing habits here because it's going to become necessary. But right now we do have Barbara on the west side with us. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for taking my call. Thank goodness it's Friday. I want to comment and push back on some of the comments that the gentleman from Mesilla calls in regularly.
Okay.
And one of them is he is a proponent, as Biden is, of get the vaccine, do the right thing. And my pushback on that is no, Biden should do the right thing and stop with the ultimatums and let people live their lives, let them have a livelihood, come home and feed their families, pay the mortgages, make the car bills, pay the utilities. So that idea that do the right thing, he discounts and dismisses other people's views. And one of the ones I wanted to talk about especially are those that take the vaccine. They believe they need more information before they can make an informed decision. That's a reasonable thing. People are pretty reasonable. They want to, take over their health. They want to take their body. They want to know what they want to do. So recently, and just this plays into their hands why they are correct. Recently, the FDA was sued by 24 highly qualified, trained, and educated doctors, ethologists, and cardiologists. And the reason they sued the FDA is because the FDA did not respond to a FOIA request that they submitted. And they submitted that request based on the Code of Federal Regulations, which states, and I'm going to put it because I want to make sure I say it correctly, after a license has been issued, the following data and information in the biological product file are immediately available for public disclosure. And the FDA is saying, well, you're not really stating why it's so important. Well, their reply is the suit states that since the Pfizer shots, won't be finished the clinical testing until 2023, they're saying, but you approved the vaccine in 2021. So why don't you release that important information, which you're required to do, which will settle a lot of the questions that people have, and they may just take the shot based on the information that you have. And so the FDA is just pushing back on that, and they're insisting on not providing that. Now, this goes back to the most transparent administration we're ever going to have, right? And it also goes back to, we have to remember that 2 top officials from the FDA stepped down because the process was too politicized, and the CDC, which would be Fauci, were involved in making decisions they shouldn't be. So this is just a mess, and what they're doing right now is they're helping people who are already hesitant dig in their heels even further and say, wait a minute, why can't we see the information? If you approved this vaccine 2 years before even the clinical testing, the shots are finished, you need to answer and let us know so we can make an intelligence about our health.
I mean, the whole public trust crisis is very real, and I have no compunction about calling that a crisis either, because it absolutely is one. And FOIA requests are this fun thing. I've had my hands in a couple. None of them usually ended up going to court cases, but it's certainly not out of the question. So it's kind of the only recourse you have if you're seeking information that you, by statute or reading of your own, are supposed to be able to be provided, usually done by members of the media, but not necessarily unavailable to members of the general public either. It's just a process you got to learn and go through. But if they're not doing it and saying, no, we won't do it, lawsuits often the only recourse. So I will be very interested to see the results of that. Unfortunately, things can drag on for a while here. So I'm not going to hold my breath on it in the meantime. But in the meantime, yeah, the issue of public confidence is very real. And stuff like this doesn't exactly help at the very least.
Well, I've had my experience with the city myself.
Oh, yeah.
I submitted a open records request, and fortunately, I received everything that I asked for, which is about the election and the monies that we got from Zuckerberg to influence our elections. And where the monies were spent is amazing. They're eye-openers. But finally, I just want to tell, if anybody wants to search what I've just talked about, this group is part of the public medical professionals for transparency. And finally, yesterday, I just want to touch on yesterday, we were talking about utility bills, gas going up and all that.
Oh, sure, yep.
Nothing in our household has changed, yet my gas bill has increased 100%.
Woof.
In
Okay.
Cloudcroft, propane has gone up 25%. So, I mean, get ready, everybody. Eggs are up, bacon's up, bread's up.
Yeah.
Everything we love in the morning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not saying that you should go out and buy some of those food buckets you're seeing advertised, because if you actually try that food, you're going to be but just be prepared. Get back maybe to the larder concept going on here and depth of pantry. I have friends who have like a canned good or two on the shelf, and that's it. And I don't even understand how to live like that personally. But even if you're not that bad, but not that great, just resiliency. Keep that in mind as we're going forward with this, because it's going to be, you buckle up, it's going to be a weird time. So thank you for those points in that call there. We do appreciate it.
Andrew, just one more comment, if I may.
Briefly, if you can.
Okay, yes. Just to let you know how people are being affected. The project managers, section managers in Nassau yesterday had meetings, and this is what the engineers were told. You either have your vaccine and all your papers due by December 8th, because December the 9th, you will be fired. Thank you, Biden.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation we've been having. Yeah. So thank you for the points there. We got to take that break right now, but we will get to some more of those comments and calls in the line here. So a lot to talk about, and we'll be doing that throughout the entire show here. It is for Free Friday, and someone pointing out the "Let's Go Brandon." No, I'm not going to play the original chant there, but I'm sure you can find it for yourself. Yes, I do know where it came from. Otherwise, a lot of stuff we're talking about here today, so that call 915-544-5876. Back after this break. If you're trying to power your way to get to the weekend, or even get through the weekend and, do the whole weekend warrior thing, a resource that you might want and particularly available over the weekend around town is Clever Tea. Absolutely what I like to do, because it's a good energy boost for the end of my day, but at the same time, it's got a lot of health benefits. As we're, whatever we're doing with the weather, and maybe on the cusp of fall, sure. 70s. We'll call that fall around here, won't we? But at the same time, you also need to, have that immunity boost to keep us through whatever your goals are. So they're going to be out over this weekend. Clever Tea, KLEVRT. They're going to be out at the Country Club Farmers Market Friday and Saturday, Friday evening and all day on Saturday during that, and also out at the Smoking Car Show at 4th and Goal on Sunday in 11 to 4 p.m. out there. So you can go and see him, talk with him. Marco's a pretty cool guy, has some interesting conversations about why he does it, and a great story about it. So that is something that he will be out there doing, and you should check it out for yourself. Also, be sure if you end up going out to the morning markets, that you can get one bottle free with the purchase of 3. So be sure to mention that you heard this on Talk El Paso. And again, go out and support local when you can, or find them online at clevertea.com. That's KLEVRT.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
We've got a new collision coming in on Alameda, south of Delta. Also, watch for a wreck on the Loop 375 heading southbound at Pelicano. That left shoulder's blocked, but it's causing heavy delays going back to Vista del Sol. Also, heavy slowing on Zaragoza northbound between Loop 375 and Rich Beam Boulevard. I'm Wendy Swanson, and that's a look at your El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Smart Mouth, the only 24-hour mouthwash with twice daily date night. You check your texts, your hair, your smile. But wait, did you check your breath? It's Smart Mouth, the mouthwash that provides 24 hours of fresh breath with just 2 rinses a day. Find Smart Mouth in the mouthwash aisle at Dollar General, or get 20% off at smartmouth.com/radio.
I feel swift here. When that next storm is barreling down, get prepared with the Flex Seal family of products. Floods can destroy your home. Push space deep into cracks and holes to help prevent flooding. Seal doors and windows, patch leaky roofs and downspouts. Remember, when that storm is coming your way, keep your family safe and dry. Be prepared with the Flex Seal family of products. Available at FlexSealProducts.com and fine retailers.
What if everything you knew about your best friend was wrong? Like really wrong?
My best friend is an international con artist who scams me and many others out of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
On Queen of the Con, Jonathan Walton tells the shocking story of the phony Irish heiress he helped bring to justice.
She's so nice when we first met, but she's the devil.
Listen to Con on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo.
If you are covered by Medicare and Medicaid, then El Paso Health Plus Medicare Advantage Plan offers great supplemental benefits designed specifically for El Pasoans, such as $3,500 a year in dental benefits, $300 in vision, and a quarterly OTC card with $250. Plus, our new Get Fit benefit to keep you active and social, as well as our new Healthy Eats program. At El Paso Health Plus, we go the extra mile for our members because this is our home and our local knowledgeable staff is here to help you get more benefits, more services, more from your health plan. If you are covered by Medicare and Medicaid, call us 833-742-3125 or visit ephmedicare.com. El Paso Health Plus, your local Medicare Advantage plan.
If you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For everyone here. We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies us. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. It is Friday, so we're taking those comments and calls throughout the show for Free for All Friday, open lines throughout the show. And bunch of stuff we're talking about here today. One question came up about we do have an election coming up here, or more specifically, constitutional amendments here in Texas. Might be some local candidates or some runoffs happening in other parts of the state here. Not sure if there's going to be too much here. I know there's also some coming up in New Mexico as well, including school boards, so that'll be another fun thing. But specifically on the Texas side of things, don't want to make sure you miss out on those constitutional amendments. John Hurd says, for clarification, that the Proposition 8, according to the Texas Tribune here, expand eligibility for residential homestead tax exemptions to include spouses of military members killed or fatally injured in the line of duty. Currently it's only in action, so this would allow for non-combat type of situations as well. So sounds decent enough to me, but again, you can find the whole list of them out there coming up. And be sure to check and make sure you can always go to, at least on the El Paso side of things, epcountyvotes.com to find out what will be on your specific ballot for where you live, in case there's another seat or something that I've missed out on. But that'll be the big ones there. So have fun, gear up for that trip to the ballot box. Early voting starts here, I believe, on Monday. So that crept up on me. I won't even lie. But get into more of those calls on the line here as well. 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Let's get to Ben on the east side. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Hello, Andrew. Barbara, please throw your hat in the ring. Run for Congress. We need you. Okay. The thing I'm going to bring up today, though, is all the climate people want to, or they're concerned with climate change, want to get rid of fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to get rid of fossil fuels, according to statistics, in 2019, 83% of electricity was generated by natural gas, coal, and nuclear. I believe they're at war with all those different things.
Generally,
only
yeah.
17% from renewables. And that may have gone up probably maybe 1% or 2%. And in the near future, it might go up another couple of percent. But the problem that China right now has is the production of electricity.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're cut down work weeks from 4 days a week, from 6 days a week to 4 days a week, and that's because they don't have enough electricity to fire their plants. So where are we heading? It's a matter that Biden and this group of individuals want to get rid of all our fossil fuels. Where does that leave us? Get rid of it, and then what? Always ask them, then what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and particularly people who even espouse it. Anyone who says, and then we're just going to do it like flipping a switch, is just, you're no longer talking reality there at that point. I mean, there's certain reasonable arguments to be had about how a switch could happen, the time frame, but expecting to happen overnight, just all of a sudden all fossil fuels gone and all 100% renewables, no, that's not how this is going to work. And I guess I will say I'm partially been baffled the whole time by the idea of that nuclear can't be a part of it, because green energy jokes aside there, it is one of the most efficient ways of producing it. Now, it suffers from a huge NIMBY problem, not in my backyard, because no one wants to live even within, eyesight of a nuclear reactor. Can't say that I blame that as a standpoint either, but you want to talk about long-term planning available to it, again, 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl aside, I mean, it would make sense to have as kind of a cornerstone of it, but that hasn't really been part of the conversation, which does baffle me a little bit as I dip a tone to that argument.
Well, one of the things that Bill Gates was talking about in one of his TED Talks in 2005 was taking a chunk of the nuclear energy, part of the neutrino or something like that, and he could make it to where all the energy could be produced for the next century for all of the world. But that was in 2005, and so if that was possible, where's the process? Where's the progress in that?
I just think there's been a lot of buy-in.
Gates himself in TED Talks.
I mean, again, it's a point that, I mean, growing up, I mean, the issues and the stuff that, you can't hug your children with nuclear arms, all that kind of fun stuff that comes packaged in with it was one thing. But still, I got to wonder if we're really looking at this, and renewables are fine. Battery technology is the real issue with it at the moment. But so why not have this be the fill-in that you literally don't have to worry about pollution coming out? Sure, there are risks, but I was shown a graph once of the difference in kind of the energy levels per unit of mass in between things like, just like wood, coal, oil, and then nuclear energy is literally off the charts. You would have to have several dozen more pages to add to the top of that bar graph to be able to show the difference in the energy concentration of it. So particularly if we're looking at doing renewable shift, which is mostly an infrastructure problem to my mind. I mean, the only reason, fossil fuels, you went back 100 years ago, people saying, well, we're supposed to switch from a horse and buggy, which are everywhere, to fossil fuels. There's an argument to be made there. But if you're really talking about dealing with the issues within it, the current issues are both availability, wind blowing, sun shining, etc., and peak times versus storage of it. So what are you going to do to fill in that gap? And I keep coming back to, at least in my mind, but I don't see any serious conversations in public policy anyway about it, nuclear. But that's a conversation we don't seem ready to have yet. So thank you for those points in that call there. It's an important one to consider, particularly as we're looking at, again, this hopefully not locally, but very potentially for a lot of people, cold winter here. Let's try to squeeze in another quick one before we hit the bottom of the hour break here. We do have Tony on the west side. Tony, thanks for joining us.
I'll try to do it quickly. Barbara, you do a great job. You're a great lady. I know you, and I respect you a lot. But you're making the same mistake that everybody makes, that most Republicans are making. You see, you keep pointing out the errors of the Democrats. They don't care. Debacle in Afghanistan, they don't care. Gas prices going up, they don't care. Everything else going up, the border out of control, they don't care. What they care, you need to understand this, all of you listening, what they care about, and this is how they operate, they want to save the earth, even if it means at the expense of human life. They want social injustice, which means they want to use federal government with more regulations. They want financial equality, which means they will use a greater federal government. They want to increase it. IRS, it's already been doubled, yada, yada, yada. And they also want, save the earth, social justice, financial justice, and they plan to use the federal government as their tool. So you cannot win them over or convince them with logic and reason. These are their gods. They've given up godly values for earth worship, and you cannot win or beat them unless you can convince them that humans are more valuable than the earth and so forth. And that's not going to happen until people return to godly values, and most people will not return to godly values. So you're not going to win the argument or the people over or the seats or the Senate or the presidency or nothing, because these people are already determined to save the earth at the expense of all the rest of us. And you have to understand that. And again, I repeat myself, social justice gives, and by the way, the open borders, the way they get away with that one, that's their quote unquote benevolence that gives them an ability to sleep at night. They think they're doing a great thing with these open borders because, eventually those people will vote Democrat. So do not waste your time trying to use logic and reason. You need to hit them where it hurts, and that is make them realize that they are be turning to paganism, to earth worship instead of godly values. Have a nice weekend.
Sure thing. Thank you for the point and call there. I'm not going to say that there aren't people out there saying that you can find almost literally any opinion online these days, including some, well, sometimes they end up in the news, particularly when they're really out there and of people of certain positions say them. But I'm going to disagree with you on your base premise there that it's not even worth having the conversation. That's literally the raison d'etre of this show. The reason we exist here is to have that conversation. So if you say that that's not even worthwhile to have it, the implications of that are almost as disturbing as the factors you're talking about, because then it comes to, well, frankly, a trend we have seen, particularly within national government, of if one party doesn't control everything, nothing happens. I mean, you can almost put the final nail in the coffin of bipartisanship, which is almost a dirty word in its own ways, and doing it for its own sake, bipartisan for the sake of being bipartisan, is also its own cul-de-sac of uselessness when it comes down to it, on the road of actual getting stuff done. But it's worth the conversation at the very least, in my opinion. And I'm not willing to give up on that. Maybe that's naive of me, but it's literally what this country was founded upon, the idea that people would have to come together and work on it, particularly when it comes to the federal government, and not just it's my way or the highway, literally against what was put into the Constitution, farewell speech of George Washington, both the Federalists and Anti-Federalists, their major statements and papers here. I think the major thing that was done in this setup of this whole current incarnation of the country after the Articles of Confederation was not accounting for political parties. That was about the one thing that they realized pretty immediately they kind of messed up on. But at the same time, I don't think that saying that, well, forget it, screw it, we're done, I'm not even going to try, is worthwhile. I mean, that's literally the death of this whole process here. So, again, entitled to your opinion about the motivations of the other side there and those that you disagree with, but at the same time, never going to give up on it. Simple as that. All right, we're overdue for a break here right now as my little soapbox there. But coming back from the break, we'll get to more of the comments and calls on the line here. So back after the break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. That number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Talk more. With whatever issues are going on in the news and in your day, it's important to know where to go when you have those minor medical emergencies, because they don't happen according to plan. There's no news update saying, by the way, at 3 o'clock, you're going to sprain your ankle, because, of course, it doesn't work that way. Those would be called appointments otherwise. So when you have those minor medical emergencies, those aches, sprains, breaks, bruises, sniffles, and even more, where I go to for that kind of situations, that unplanned but got to get to it right now, and just can't muddle through your day with it kind of situation. Not that it's even a good idea in that point. Dr. Carpenter and his team over at Upper Valley Urgent Care Center, 121 East Red Road, because they've got that fast and friendly 5-star medical treatment for any of those minor medical problems, all the way up to x-ray capabilities. And they've been doing it for a good long time now, too. They're celebrating their 15th anniversary this November. So anything from vaccines, rapid testing, all of it available, no appointment needed. Walk in 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., there when you need it, nights, weekends, and holidays. Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
I'm Estefania Seyfried with your KFOX 14 News Update. An early morning shooting at the Cazadores Bar on Durazno left one dead and sent a second person to the hospital. Police initially responded to calls of a fight at midnight and learned shortly after that a shooting had happened. Investigators have not determined whether the shooting happened inside or outside of the location. White House officials said the borders will reopen to fully vaccinated foreign visitors on November 8th. This relaxes the current bans that have been in place since 2020. The new guidelines apply to U.S. air, land, and sea borders. The Biden administration said it plans to reinstate a Trump-era border policy next month to make asylum seekers wait in Mexico for hearings in U.S. immigration court, complying with a judge's order. This hinges upon approval of the Mexican government. For more of these stories, you can go to our website, kfoxtv.com.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
We are still dealing with the collision this afternoon on Loop 375 southbound at Pelicano, blocking the left shoulder but causing heavy delays going back to Vista del Sol. Also very heavy slowing on Zaragoza northbound between Loop 375 and Rich Beam. Also slow traffic I-10 eastbound after Artcraft as you're approaching Thorne. I'm Wendy Swanson, El Paso Traffic.
We ended the week on a pretty nice note with lots of sunshine and fall-like temperatures. Tonight, expect a clear sky to remain in the forecast as a slight breeze continues throughout the evening. Temperatures will also be on the cooler side as they range from the low 50s in El Paso to the mid-40s in Las Cruces. Coming up tonight, we'll take a look at the weekend forecast, plus we'll talk about warming temperatures and if we'll be tracking any rain next week. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kira Miner.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. It's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
The October Monster Used Car Sales Event is on. Right now at Casa Buick GMC. Yeah, it's going on right now. A sale so scary good that you'll scream. One owner trades, lease returns, and we've dug up some unique specimens just for you.
Like this 2015 Mustang, $24,877, or this 2019 Toyota Tundra, $58,777, or wow, this 2020 Yukon Denali for $61,877.
Financing through more than 20 banks and credit unions. Buy here, pay your financing by La Casita.
The October Used Car Monster Sales Event is on right now at Casa Buick GMC at Airway by the airport.
Are you covered by Medicare and Medicaid? Well, El Paso Health Plus is the plan for you. As a local Medicare Advantage plan, we can offer our members more. Call us at 833-742-3125 or ephmedicare.com. El Paso Health Plus.
Hey folks, this is Andrew J. Polk. These days, it's important to know where to go to get quality medical care and services when you need it. The go-to for my family is Dr. Alan Carpenter and his team at Upper Valley Urgent Care Center for any minor medical emergency. Equipped with 20 exam rooms and the tech to go with it, they're ready to handle colds and testing all the way to x-rays. Open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., fast and friendly with no appointment needed at 121 East Red Road. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this fall, Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
I've lost a lot of weight. I'm working out like a maniac, and that means my muscles are sore. The CBD muscle creams from thetrustedlab.com are great after a workout when your muscles are sore. thetrustedlab.com. It's legal in Texas.
Big interview. You check your suit, your resume, your palms. But wait, did you check your breath? Get Smart Mouth, the only mouthwash that provides 24 hours of fresh breath with just 2 rinses a day. Find Smart Mouth in the mouthwash aisle at Dollar General or get 20% off at smartmouth.com/radio. This report is sponsored by Smart Mouth, the only 24-hour mouthwash with twice daily use.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Another thing you can do to stay on top of all the information coming out of the medical sector, and particularly what it means for you in navigating our complex medical system and insights on treatments for common medical problems, is to tune in Saturday at noon to the Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao. He's a board-certified vascular interventionalist with practices here in the region, so he sees both the issues going on here and can offer you that insight to stay on top of everything going on with everything, including a bit of news coming up this week about those new treatments that are coming through the system, including that pill you may have heard of as a antiviral treatment. New development going on there, plus other things going on with obesity and treatments for related conditions. So, again, if you want to submit your own questions, you can email rao@medicalhackers.com. That's RAO @medicalhackers.com. And be sure to tune in again this Saturday at noon to Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of discussions happening on here today. And a lot of things we'll keep talking about throughout the rest of this hour as we are taking those calls and comments, because it is Friday and we're doing the open lines, taking on any subject here. Still, particularly for the phone calls, have those FCC standards, but we'll take on any subject here as long as you're willing to do those very simple policies. So that's what we got going on. That number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Leroy Chuck asking, what's my opinion on fuel prices going over $4 a gallon for truckers? Nothing good going to happen from that. I mean, there's a whole lot of crunch going on with a whole lot of systems there. Just a previous caller mentioning about areas of the world going down, reducing work weeks. So supply is going to keep getting crunched, and that's just going to add a price on top of everything, is absolutely how it works here. So that'll be fun. And yeah. So not in favor of it, but I don't know what I'm going to do about it besides Buy early and often might be a good way to do it, but I swear, if y'all go and buy all that toilet paper again, I'm done with you. But there's plenty of other supply coming in. One other article I wanted to put forth, El Paso Times article, 2 arrested in a 50,000 fentanyl-laced pill drug deal in El Paso restaurant parking lot. It's literally like a whole Tupperware tub full of them. Like the picture is almost as graphic as anything I've seen, just seeing that. And of course, fentanyl being not something to mess around with. Another fun issue we got to deal with in our area. Again, the weird part of that one mostly being that it's right in the area, but if we ever thought that it only ever went straight through and didn't actually stop here, any of these issues that come with trafficking, kidding ourselves anyway, but getting caught for it. Glad they're caught, but boy, is that probably a symptom of also a larger issue. One other thing I wanted to mention here is that on Monday at their next meeting, the El Paso County Commissioners will receive an El Paso County Redistricting Advisory Commission proposal. Interesting to see how it's going to work out for them because it's already been passing in votes of some of the redistricting going on in other areas. So this will be more of the local aspects of it here. So particularly for probably the county commissioner seats. So another aspect of it coming up here. But if they have any recommendations for the state level, you're probably a bit too late for that here. Leroy Chuck also wondering where the drugs came from. I don't think anyone will be wondering about that. There's also Barbara Carrasco. They're absolutely going to be paying for the increase yourself is what it ends up meaning. So getting to more calls on the line here. We do right now have Andrew on the west side. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much. A couple of points I wanted to make. Since August, there's been about 70,000 undocumented immigrants that have come into the United States. Now, and that's along the southern border. Now, I guarantee you, these people that are being released into the United States, they're not being released in Martha's Vineyard or Wilmington, Delaware, or by no means Sunset Heights here in El Paso. These people are going to put a big strain on the supply chain, wouldn't you think?
That's certainly going to be one aspect of it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And just as a note, as I keep wanting to put forth, usually the numbers coming out of CBP include encounters, which means every time that they come across a person in a day. So the misnomer of that means they may not all be individual persons, but honestly, from my perspective, that makes the issue worse, particularly as, in fact, I heard a promo for it, not even on our station, but This American Life, going to be talking with some of these smugglers doing that last mile transit across the border, happen to be under 18 for the purposes of getting around our current policies here right now. So they literally may be even on a first name basis with some of the officers and the coyotes doing this transportation. So honestly, the problem's worse in my mind once you'll really understand and look at that fact.
Correct. My next point was on that, Green New Deal and, these people who want to get rid of fossil fuels. Well, the hidden agenda on that, it's just a redistribution of wealth. When you look at it, the United States is the one that's going to have to fork the bill because China and other countries like India and Pakistan, they're some of the biggest polluters in the world. I do not see China curtailing their oil production. As a matter of fact, they're investing billions in oil exploration and drilling. But anyway, those are the points I had to make. And I thank you for your time.
Yeah, those are certainly important points there. And yet China doesn't play by anyone's rules besides China unless they happen to be in charge of the rules, in which case they're still going to be in favor of China. It's not a secret. It's not even something that they try to obscure on their own. It's pretty just flat apparent. What really struck out to me was that when I heard about there was a specific small Chinese village of 1 million people, because that's how they often be it, there was actually a local Marxist group of Marxist students who had studied that and wanted to petition the government to put in more Marxist policies, and they got quashed by the local government there and the police in that area because they were threatening their own power base. And that's why, sure, there's definitely a lot of history and, tracing of how things got to be there and the values and systems that were put into place. It is nothing besides just straight totalitarian, and we will do what we can with our power in search of more power is the overriding thing for that whole situation. So yeah, they're not going to play by that rule. Anyone who thinks they are, I have several bridges to sell them. So got to take another break right now. We got more calls on the line, and we'll get to more here in this last segment, plus comments. A lot more going on here. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. And don't forget to tune in, of course, to the medical actress Dr. Sandy Brow this weekend. And more shows back after a bit here on Talk El Paso. One thing not to forget is also for this month is that it is October, so you may have been seeing those pink ribbons around because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So another tool that we have available here in town now is that of thermography. Therapeutics and Thermography, Inc., which is inside the Biometrics building at 395 Sunland Park Drive, which is basically just west of I-10 and Sunland Park there. So a big blue sign, easy to find out there, and you can see the Therapeutics and Thermography sign on there as well because they're offering their breast thermograms $50 off for the entire month. So what thermography is another tool can be used to diagnose, figure out what's going on that the naked eye can't see. Usually if it gets to that point, naked eye seeing it, something has gone seriously wrong, but this can be an early detection method, even before other methods that are more commonly discussed out there. So if you want to give them a call, that number to do so, 915-401-4053, 915-401-4053, and get that $50 off the breast thermograms for the entire month because, it's an FDA-approved process for detection of this that includes a full medical review and results right to you. So you can also find them online at elpasothermography.com. That's El Paso Thermography, THERMOGRAPHY.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
We're still dealing with a collision blocking that left shoulder on the Loop 375 heading southbound at Pelicano, still causing heavy delays going back to Vista del Sol. Also, Loop 375 northbound at Bob Hope, there's a disabled vehicle blocking the left lane. Watch out for an accident on Alameda south of Delta Drive at Abraham. I'm Wendy Swanson, El Paso Traffic.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. It's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
If you are covered by Medicare and Medicaid, then El Paso Health Plus Medicare Advantage Plan offers great supplemental benefits designed specifically for El Pasoans, such as $3,500 a year in dental benefits, $300 in vision, and a quarterly OTC card with $250 to spend on health and wellness products. Plus, generous benefits for hearing, podiatry, home-delivered meals, and so much more. Plus, our new Get Fit benefit to keep you active and social, as well as our new Healthy Eats program. At El Paso Health Plus, we go the extra mile for our members because this is our home and our local knowledgeable staff is here to help you get more benefits, more services, more from your health plan. If you are covered by Medicare and Medicaid, call us 833-742-3125 or visit ephmedicare.com. El Paso Health Plus, your local Medicare Advantage plan.
What if everything you knew about your best friend was wrong? Like really wrong?
My best friend is an international con artist who scams me and many others out of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
On Queen of the Con, Jonathan Walton tells the shocking story of the phony Irish heiress he helped bring to justice.
She seemed so nice when we first met, but she's the devil.
Listen to Queen of the Con on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo.
Date night. You check your texts, your hair, your smile. But wait, did you check your breath? Get Smart Mouth, the only mouthwash that provides 24 hours of fresh breath with just 2 rinses a day. Find Smart Mouth in the mouthwash aisle at Dollar General or get 20% off at smartmouth.com/radio.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A bunch of stuff we're talking about here today and a bunch of ways you can interact with the show. Of course, we've got the Facebook page and the social media pages, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, also Andrew J. Polk, as well as on Twitter, Talk El Paso and Andrew J. Polk, YouTube, Talk El Paso channel, and then on Twitch as well, because we're trying that out, see if that fits on for size. Andrew J. Polk there as well. So a lot of ways you can find us, backup / other methods / maybe new people tuning in. We had a couple people commenting from Twitch, and so we appreciate anyone tuning in and being a part of the conversation. So we'll squeeze in more of those calls here, but don't forget about that pound 250 system either, because even if you can't get in right now, and I know that people saying, well, I couldn't quite get on at the end of the show. Go on at the end of the show, last segment. You're taking your chances. It's one way to get your foot in the door. Not exactly a guarantee, but when we get to that segment, we'll get to those calls there. So pound 250, dial that in the keyword Talk El Paso. Let's say that, and you'll be good to go here. So getting more of those calls here. Before I do, don't forget, we do have an election coming up November 2nd, early voting starting on Monday for constitutional amendments here in Texas. But right now, let's get to Michael on the west side. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for taking my call. I would like to piggyback on the earlier callers about green energy and nuclear. And the best argument that the environmentalists and Democrats have against nuclear power is about an incident that happened 42 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, there have not been any accidents. Yes, Chernobyl was 35 years ago, but that could be easily discounted because that's Russia. That was the Soviet Union, not known for their expertise in engineering or anything like that. But nuclear energy has been used successfully on virtually every Navy submarine and every Navy ship without a single accident. And people don't realize that. They keep going back almost 50 years to something that happened where there was nothing catastrophic that occurred. And everything worked as planned. And so that's really kind of disingenuous on the left's part on talking against nuclear. Now, going to green energy, green energy is highly intermittent, and Democrats refuse to answer the question, what happens when the wind stops blowing? What happens when the sun's not shining? You lose the electricity. And this has happened in England and in Germany where their renewable energy is so ineffective. They've been building coal-fired power plants in the recent years. England's currently building them because they can't keep up. The wind power and the solar can't keep up with demand because, as we know, in the wintertime, it's not very sunny.
That's true.
And so the left is really kind of selling this renewable energy as magic, and it's just completely flawed. And it works in very limited scenarios and situations. But people need to dig in, do their research, and not just accept what's being told to them, especially when it's completely outrageous on its face value.
I mean, absolutely. And I think people, particularly in our area, need to realize that part of the reason we have the stability that we had, particularly during last winter when the rest of Texas was suffering, is A, different grid, B, we've got nuclear that is coming down your wires here. That's part of the whole regional plan and what local power authorities are using here. So it's currently in use. So the idea that it's not even there, which some people may have in mind, it simply is not accurate, particularly for our area.
Well, yes, but nuclear certainly needs to be expanded.
I mean, when you look at the physics of it, like I get the risk reward kind of thing, but you make a very good point there about use on other ships. So thank you for the points in that call there. Do appreciate
You're welcome.
it. All right, trying to squeeze in at least one more here. We do have Raul in the Northeast. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. This is directed to Tony the Trumper, the hypocrite Christian in his belief that America will be right until people return to God and godly values. Hey, Tony the Trumper, your God wanted Biden to become president of the United States and Trump to lose. Trump is not a godly man. He's an immoral, unethical, opportunist, traitor, and a moron. Trump is the antithesis of Jesus Christ. I mean, Trump's clinical psychologist niece, Mary Trump, called her uncle a sociopathic, malignant narcissist. Trump cheated her father's family out of their share of their grandfather's estate. And then Trump's personal attorney of 10 years, his fixer and legal bully, called Trump a racist, a con man, and a fraud. But these Trumpers think they know Trump better than family members and people who have worked for him. That's what cult members do. I remember when the Republicans used to say that character counted and that morality mattered and that they were fiscal conservatives and that they voted on whether their candidates adhered to these values or not. But then came demonic, diabolical, wannabe dictator Trump, who ran up record amounts of debt. And that demon affected El Paso. His racist and xenophobic rhetoric incited one of his terrorists to kill 23 people in our community. And he ripped off our city for $600,000 for unpaid security costs. And he has done the same thing to 9 other cities. He has 5 kids from 3 wives, all of whom he cheated on with porn stars and bunnies. And he's been accused by 24 women of sexually assaulting them. He was recorded bragging about sexually assaulting women. Tony the Trumper, the good Christian. Donald Trump, if you support him, you cannot be a good Christian because he is anything but a good Christian. Thank you.
Okay, so here's why I don't like going on a personality of a person in office, because it leads to whole conversations like this. As much as I so much love a review of the personality of any elected official, it's kind of irrelevant in my mind. Because if that's how you're voting for a person, I got issues with you to begin with. It's either for or against them, frankly, because if you're not looking at the policies, I mean, that's how you end up with people saying that, well, at least I'm not this guy, and then, well, points broadly to current situation, because I think there were a lot of, anyone but kind of situations going on, a bit on both sides, but certainly on the left in this last election is obviously happened. And that's why I got to say, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I look at the policies. Because this whole cult of personality, oh, these are great guys, therefore they will do great things in office, it doesn't bear out in reality. It's based on what are they actually doing? What are they actually putting into place? What are the bills they're writing? What are their actual planks and policy positions? That's why we go into those in every damn interview that we do. When it comes to political candidates, is what are you actually going to do if elected? Not, so how good of a person are you? That's the least relevant question in my mind. And if we can get to that, I think we'd be in a better place as an entire country here. All right. With that, we're out of time here for this show here. We didn't get to quite all the calls or comments that we had this hour, but we'll do it again Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I have been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, commenting, calling, however you participate in the show. You are what helped makes this what it is. And we'll do it again next week. So as always, have a great weekend. Look twice for motorcycles. We're now on the road. And we'll see you all next week with more talk about El Paso and the surrounding region. Have a great one, y'all. And now for your Medicare moment with Eric with Advocate Health Advisors. What sets Advocate Health Advisors apart when it comes to working with veterans?
Well, Advocate Health Advisors has spent hundreds of hours learning about military benefits like VA, Champ VA, and TRICARE for Life. We do this to properly assist the veterans in choosing the correct fit in their Medicare plan and how it complements the military benefits that they already have. So these Medicare plan options that they have only enhance the benefits that they've already earned through the military.
And so to find out more information, you can call Eric, your local advisor, wherever you're hearing this broadcast, at 1-800-876-0214. That's 1-800-876-0214.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
We've got a couple of disabled vehicles making the commute a little bit trickier this evening. Watch for a disabled vehicle blocking the left lane of the Patriot Freeway heading southbound at the I-10 interchange heading eastbound. It's causing a backup to Montana. Another disabled vehicle blocking the left lane on the Loop 375 heading northbound at Bob Hope. I'm Wendy Swanson, and that's El Paso traffic.